Hey guys, welcome to Unbiased Rugby. I'm going to continue my series on the Springboks, Springboks 2018. I was going to talk about England and what the Wales, and I actually looked at the Saracens final, and I started watching the Northampton or the Exeter Chiefs final, and I also watched the Scarlets playing, so I could see what kind of team Wales and England could possibly bring to it for us. But then I was watching, I don't know if you guys watched the breakdown. I watched the breakdown last night for other South Africans out there. It's a New Zealand show about rugby with Jeff Wilson, Sir John Kerwin, and I can't remember all the presenters. And they were obviously talking about the New Zealand selection, and because obviously that came out the weekend before, and then they had such a brilliant interview between Jeff Wilson and Steve Hansen, and he was chatting about their selection process, how they identify players, how they identify talent, when they started building for this phase of the World Cup in 2015, how they created depth last year and the year before, and then obviously the biggest one that I picked up was the player management, how they manage their New Zealand, the All Blacks across the franchises, and how they try to work with the franchises to try and manage those players so the franchises get them and they get rested for the All Blacks, and there's a bit of a sharing, and it's that like age-old thing, when there's a compromise, everyone walks away from the party unhappy. So it's just trying to how to manage those expectations. But if you can, it is repeated quite a few times on DSTV. If you can watch that, it's very, very interesting, and it's nice to hear what the top coaches, especially the New Zealand top coaches, actually he just seems he's probably their most successful coach ever, but yeah, really, really good. And I'm trying to relate that also to how we can implement some of those things with the Springboks. And the biggest thing that I picked up was that the most important thing in New Zealand is the All Blacks. Everything else is secondary to the All Blacks. Yes, the franchises are important, and Super Rugby is important, but their biggest money spinner, where they make their most money, their most powerful brand, is the All Blacks. So everything is geared towards it, from grass levels up to club rugby to Mitre 10, up to the Super Rugby, and it sits at the top of the pyramid, and it sits the All Blacks. So everything's geared towards that, and obviously they must have quite a good centralized structure to distribute information, manage the players, and so that obviously brings me back to what I was trying to bring up in my last show. Was it's that the top two nations in the world, 1 and 2, New Zealand and Ireland, they have central contracting. Each player that has to join a New Zealand province, Munster, it has to be approved by the Irish Rugby Board. So they're always identifying talent. They're always trying to bring them through, and I think the power in South Africa sits a lot more with the franchises than it does with the Springboks. And for me, I'm trying to think, the most important team in the country would be the Springboks. Everything else would be secondary. That's our most important brand, and that's the one that we should be developing to make stronger. But for us, it sits with the too much power, I think, sits with the franchises. And I'm not saying that the franchises can't have their own players and their own contracts, but it's all about managing those Springbok players better in the system. So if you take like New Zealand last year, they blooded 55 new All Blacks, or not 50. They had 55 All Blacks play last year, not new All Blacks. And you could just think about it through the 5 franchises. Just if you just did simple maths, you end up having essentially 8 to 11 All Black players per franchise. That's incredible, and even if you wanted to rest 25% of them, you'd still have six All Blacks playing for every single side every single weekend. So barring injuries, obviously, that's a perfect world scenario. So it would be nice if we had something similar to that in Springbok rugby, where our main players, our main Springbok players, are actually more centrally controlled from above, and maybe once we start doing that, I don't think central contracting are going to fully work with in our system. I think we have too many. Our rugby system's a lot bigger than New Zealand and a lot bigger than Ireland, so it would be too difficult to control centrally. I think there's 1,000 professional players in the country at various levels, obviously earning various amounts of money. So we'd have to come up with some kind of hybrid system where we could work, because look, that interview with Steve Hansen, I've realized, I think we're a few steps behind New Zealand. I think they're really a professional country when it comes to that. And you may think I harp on about New Zealand rugby quite a bit, but at the end of the day, jeepers, if we could emulate that, we'd be back on the top. I think we have the depth, we have the players. If we could just manage that a little bit better and try to say the Springboks are at the top. That's our most important team. How do we protect it? How do we make sure that it's the strongest? And then everything else filters down that way. Okay, so that's my 2 cents about central contracting, where I think it's a bit of a hybrid system. But what do you guys think would work in this country? It's not just about keeping those 30-40 players, because it can be done. There is enough money to do that. But it's how do we manage these guys' fitness levels? How do we manage their skill level? How much game time should they do? Because they should be protected. And I'm not saying protected completely where they don't play, but where they managed a lot better. I know Steve Hansen called it stock. He said, it's not a nice term for to make another human being, but he says essentially that's what it is. You're managing the pool of players that make up the Springboks. But yeah, and then I'm going to go now into those games that I watched. So I watched the Saracens semi-final, and I'm not sure if they're sending their full complement across to the USA, but I hear that they're not sending. They said, like the newspapers are saying, well, they're sending a B side, we're sending a B side, so it's not going to be a. But at the end of the day, a test match is a test match. Regardless if it's an A or B side, essentially, I want the Springboks to win, and so it'd be interesting to see what Russie team he selects for that, because I know on Super Rugby on Monday they were talking about they're creating a squad of 40, sending 26 I think across to Wales, and then obviously having the other 14 still working on the plays and all of that for England. So it'd be interesting to see how he splits up that side, because 40 is quite a big mix, and I think it'll include a lot of those players that we had in our discussion. It'll include so many of them, and it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with, because he did allude to the fact that it's going to be a little bit out there, some of the decisions, and we might not understand. But I think we've really got to look at Russie's contract as fairly long term. He's actually got a contract to beyond 2023, and so it looks like. I think what he's trying now is we've got 14 or 18 games towards the Rugby World Cup 2019, and I think all he really wants to do for this next World Cup, and I think that's fair, is to be competitive, make it out to the knockouts. It'd be great if we made it to the semis, but the chances are I don't think we're ready to face Ireland or New Zealand at that level just yet. Or maybe we are at 14 games. Lots can happen in 14 games, but let's try to set that as a goal, to try and make the semis for 2019, but the ultimate goal is to win it in 2023. I think it takes a while to create that kind of depth. But yeah, I was also want to come back to that my first thing, what I was saying. Don't you guys remember at school, and used to go play another school, and whoever you were playing, and you'd have the under 13s, under 14s, under 15s, ABC, whatever, all playing the day, and it made no difference if you lost every single game during the day. What was the most important game? It was the first team. That was it. If you won that game and lost every single other game, it made no difference. You won the day. And And we've got to think of that when it comes to the box. It makes no difference if we win Super Rugby or if we're competitive at Super Rugby or Pro 14 or the new, I can't remember where the other two franchises are going to be playing up north. It makes absolutely no difference if the Springboks are losing. So we've really got to bring that kind of tribalism back to the Springboks and make the brand strong again. Then I just saw a lovely article. Geez, Eddie Jones is starting his rubbish right already, saying there's going to be a 3-0 whitewash of I don't think he used those words, but I think that's his goal, is to have a 3-0 whitewash of South Africa. He says, well, he's bringing his B-side, but if you think about it, he's not really bringing his B-side. He's just left out injured players that have players that have a few niggles. Yeah, he's resting one or two, but he's bringing a strong side. They want to win. They've never done it, but they want to win that series. They're putting everything on the line for that. They had an atrocious Six Nations, so I think that's their goal. So I'm a little bit concerned because I don't know. I don't know if Russie's. See, the problem that I'm facing at the moment is we've heard nothing. Yes, we've had one or two little snippets or anything like that, but I don't know. It just seems like we release our team sheets so late in the week, even at Super Rugby level. You know, like the New Zealand sides, they don't care. You know, it comes out on Tuesday, Monday night, or even the weekend before. They're saying this is our team for next weekend, and we release it Friday night. You know, we're so secretive. We just and it doesn't make sense. I think if it was a lot more open and I understood what Russie's plan was, what he had been doing. I'm not saying reveal all the secrets to the kingdom. I'm just saying, you know, just give us a little bit of insight on what your plans are, because, you know, it would help us try to figure it out. I'm not the most important person in South African rugby, but it would be nice to know what was going on. Yeah, it's and what the plans are. Yes, I think once I hear the squad, I'll understand a little bit better. Once I see them play Wales and play England, maybe we'll see a little bit better. But the anticipation is really going to kill me. I don't know what you guys think, but I just want to know what the team is. I just want to play. I just want to see them on the field, because looking at that Saracens and that Exeter game, the England guys have got some serious forward players. That Billy Vunipola, you got to see it. It's but I was watching it and I was going, oh, you know, what does he really compare to in South Africa? And I was thinking, you know, he probably compares to like a Jean-Luc, you know, that real aggressive, you know, go forward kind of player, arm out. But I really think Jean-Luc's a better player than Billy Vunipola. Jean-Luc knows how to pass. He knows how to offload. I think Mako Vunipola is probably a better player than Billy Vunipola. But Billy Vunipola is super good. But yeah, those guys on that Saracen side are very, very good. But yeah, and so yeah, I'm stuttering a little bit, so maybe I'm running out of things to say. But what do you guys think? What are your guys' idea on central contracting for our Springbok players? How do you think we should protect our players a little bit more? How we should have player management? Should the power still sit with the franchises, or should there be more power sitting with Saru? Did you watch that interview? What did you think of Steve Hansen's interview? What do you think of him as a coach? I think he's wonderful. He's really, really good. Very, very calm. I think he's highly competitive, very calm, and I've got a feeling, and I think they alluded to it in the show, that he's going to be the first coach to figure out how to get the defence against defensive line speed, because a lot of teams are battling with that defensive line speed, and I have a feeling New Zealand have got something up their sleeve to combat that. But we'll see. You know, he alluded to it that they might start showing things, but they're going to obviously keep stuff back for the World Cup. But yeah, it'd be nice to see what Russie's plans are. See who our new captain is, because it looks like Whiteley is really going to be out for the June series, which is a little bit of a problem. But it might be a good thing that he stays injured for a little bit longer. Not injured. I mean recovers for a little bit longer. It has a little bit of like a sabbatical. like really get fit again before he comes back into Super Rugby or that kind of fold, and really try make sure he's fully healed until we reach November. Same with Malcolm Mark, same with Evan. Let's keep these players back, let them relax, have a few months where they, even Kuni Oosthuizen, who's excellent prop, just give them a few more months where they actually spend time with their families, recharge those batteries, and when they come back they're ready. We can start building them back up for the World Cup next year. But yeah, if you guys can just give me your thoughts on Central Contract, that would be great. If you like my video, please share it. Please like it. I've shot up in subscribers, which was wonderful. I think 3-4 days ago I was saying I was only just over 100, and now I'm over 124. So it's great. Another thing is you must try follow. 2 Cents Rugby gave me a shout out. He also did a video on his idea for Springbok, the Springbok team, and it's nice to actually see somebody from the outside looking at the Springbok team, and a lot of the suggestions have been that move Pollard out to 12, which I thought I've seen that before. I think it's a way for beating line speed, because it gives our real major game player a lot more heads up time. He had that. I had Creel on the bench, which I thought was he had Opa Mahoja in it, and most of us looked over him completely. So yeah, I'll put a link to the video, but please go look at it, because it's just interesting to see how somebody from the outside looks at the Springboks and what kind of team they want to select. But listen, guys, thanks for watching my video. Please share, please like. Thanks a lot. Bye.